Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Truth Serum. Joey, the Truth Wagner, with you, about to get started on episode number 13. Oh, sort of like Nick Boomino's number 13. But as always, glad you could join me. And this episode tonight will be a series review of the 2017 Stanley Cup Final that just happened between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Nashville Predators. So tonight we'll just be talking about that, and later on in this episode I have a special guest. So I hope all of you will enjoy that. But let's get down to the facts. This Stanley Cup Final was pretty interesting. There was a lot of exciting hockey, good hockey, some hatred involved, especially between Sidney Crosby and PK Subban. Those two certainly hated each other during this series. But the Penguins ended up winning the series in 6 games to get back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. So the cup remains in the Burgh. Also, Sidney Crosby, he won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP, in part because he led all scorers with 7 total points during the final. Also, friends, a couple of interesting stats as well. In this series, the home team won 5 of the first 6 games in this series. The home team actually won all the first 5 games in the series. The Penguins were able to break that string in the 6th and final game to get their Stanley Cup back. Also, scoring first was also important as well in this series. The team that scored first won 4 of the 6 games, and that is not including Game 6 when Nashville scored first, but the goal was waved off because the referee blew the whistle because he lost sight of the puck. Anywho, now friends, we are going to be talking about some specifics of this series. And first of all, here is the big decision, the turning point in this series for myself. This, friends, was the big move in this series, I thought. Mike Sullivan sticking with his goaltender, sticking with his number 1, his guy Matthew Murray, and sticking with him to start in Game 5. After Game 4, there was a whole controversy here back in Pittsburgh about the starting goaltender situation, because the Penguins just came off of back-to-back losses in Nashville that erased their 2-0 series lead. In those 2 games on the road, Matthew Murray allowed 8 goals on 58 shots. He wasn't very sharp. What he told the media, he thought he was playing better than the numbers looked, but anytime you allow 8 goals in 2 games like that, I don't care what you said, you didn't play very well. But the turning point, that was the turning point. Head coach Mike Sullivan sticking with his man, giving him confidence, and giving him an opportunity to redeem himself. And oh baby, did Matt Murray redeem himself in the biggest way. Shutouts in Game 5 and 6 did not allow another puck past him. Stopped 51 of 51 shots over the final 2 games of the series to get his 2nd Stanley Cup championship in as many years. That was my turning point in this series. And now, friends, I would like to welcome from Chicago and Windy City Highlights, Connor Clark. Welcome to the show, bud.
Thank you for having me.
And what was your turning point in this Stanley Cup Final series?
Well, I'm going to do both teams real quick. For the Predators, was Game 3 getting back home in front of their home fans, because that's where they played best all playoff long. They were 9-1 going into Game 6 at home until they eventually lost because of Matt Murray. But Game 3 was the turning point for them. I believe they put up 4 goals against Matt Murray and only allowed 1, and they really electrified Smashville. And that really got them back into the series. As we all know, they ended up tying it going back to Pittsburgh. for Game 5. And then for the Penguins, the turning point or X-Factor player, I'm going to have to give it to Matt Murray. It's close between him and Sidney Crosby, the Conn Smythe winner. But Matt Murray really won the series for the Pittsburgh Penguins, like you said, pitching 2 consecutive shutouts, stopping 51 shots in a row, really helped Pittsburgh win the series, and I believe that's the reason why they're back-to-back champions.
Okay, well, very, very true. Matthew Murray, strong as a rock. From what I looked up, Matthew Murray was the first goaltender to have back-to-back shutouts to end a Stanley Cup final series since, I believe, it was either 1947 or 1952. It's just unbelievable how well he played. And now, folks, it is time for the X Factor. Good or bad, the X Factor that made the difference in this series. And I will let Connor go first.
Well, for me, the bad turning point for Nashville is a tie between Pekka Rinne and PK Subban. Both played extremely disappointing and did not live up to the hype, especially Pekka Rinne only allowing 3 goals against Chicago, the #1 seed in the East, or the West, excuse me, and playing great thrown over the playoffs, and then against the Pittsburgh, and it just gets killed and got pulled twice, allowing 3 goals in both of those starts, but ended up getting pulled. And then PK Subban didn't really do much either, except talk about how his breath smells better than Sidney Crosby. So that's all I got to say about Nashville. For Pittsburgh, there really wasn't a bad turning point. Honestly, they played really well from all cylinders, and they covered the ice really well. They spread their offense out really well. Obviously, their defense was pretty good. So really no bad turning point for the Penguins.
Okay, very nice job, Connor. And friends, my X Factor in this Stanley Cup Final Series, I said it in the series preview. I said that if Nashville wanted to win, that they needed Pekka Rinne to be their best player to win, and if he wasn't, they would lose, and he bombed. If this was a final exam, he bombed it in the worst way you could. I mean, Pekka Rinne, other than games 3 and 4, was terrible. He was terrible. I mean, in this series, he was pulled twice. In the 3 games in Pittsburgh, games 1, 3, and 5, he allowed a combined 11 goals on 45 shots in Pittsburgh. That's only a .755 save percentage. He was a mess. And in Game 6, the cup-clinching goal that Patrick Hornquist banked off his back, I mean, that's just a hideous goal to give up. That's hideous. I mean, with the Stanley Cup on the line, you just can't let that happen. And I don't like to point fingers at one guy and say, hey, you lost the series for us. But if I was the Predators, Pekka Rinne lost you that series. He got you to the Cup final, but he lost this series for the Predators. I mean, he really did. And Connor was also right. PK Subban wasn't very good either. I mean, he was more noticeable in this series for all of the post-whistle stuff, such as the bad breath comments and the fighting with Crosby the whole series. He was known more for that than any impact he made on the ice. He didn't score a goal in the series. And also, what really impressed me for the Penguins in X Factor in a good way, everybody's going to say Crosby, so I'm not going to go with him just to be a little bit off the grid. But who really impressed me was, especially early in the series, was Jake Gensel. When the Penguins weren't getting goals from their depth scorers, Jake Gensel was on fire at the start of the series, and he kept Pittsburgh in it early with key goals in games 1 and 2 to get them out to that quick 2-0 series lead. And now, folks, before we sign off, one final thing. One final takeaway from the Stanley Cup final. And I'll go first this time. My takeaway from this series, holy cow, are these Penguins resilient. They are so resilient. They don't let anything stop them. They don't let injuries stop them. They don't let bad penalties by the refs stop them. They don't let bad goals stop them. They don't let anything stop them. They just go, go, go. And as Sully always says, just play. That's exactly what they do. They just play, and what they've been able to do for the last 2 years is unbelievable. They're a dynasty in my book. Do you have any one big takeaway from this series, Connor?
Yes, and it's something both teams, especially Nashville, can learn from. You need to learn how to live on the road. In Nashville, they had these subs on the road, and the Penguins finished 500 on the road, they finished one game over 500, 6-5. Those are critical games on the road, and stealing a team's thunder on their home ice is really A, satisfying, and B, really crucial in the series. So for both of those teams, if they make the playoffs again, which I know for sure definitely the Penguins will, not sure about the Predators, but if both teams make it back again, they need to win on the road.
Okay. Well, very, very nice points there, Connor. So, everybody, thank you for watching episode number 13 of the Truth Serum Pens Preds series review. And as always, I would like to thank Connor Clark from Windy City Highlights for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And for the rest of my awesome crew, Joey the Truth Wagner signing off. Thank you for watching the Truth Serum. Enjoy.